You are paying $200 for a fragrance whose founder has never studied perfumery for a single day in their life. The bottle arrived in minimalist packaging. The brand story talked about a childhood memory, a grandmother's garden, a decade of searching for the perfect accord. And somewhere in New Jersey or Dallas or a contract facility outside Bologna, a lobby printed your label, filled your bottle with a pre-made formula, and shipped it to a warehouse. The founder never touched it. They don't know what's in it, and they are not required to tell you. The artisan fragrance market is worth billions. It is growing faster than any other segment of a $55 billion industry. And the thing driving that growth is not craft. It is story. A very specific, very repeatable story that a handful of turnkey fragrance manufacturers will build for you from scratch for $10,000 to $25,000 and a 2 to 5 month timeline. Here is how the system works and why almost nobody talks about it. There is a category of business in the fragrance industry called a turnkey contract manufacturer. These companies offer what they describe openly on their websites as a complete brand launch service. You provide a name, a mood board, a vague sense of your target customer. They provide the formula, the bottle, the label, the box, the cellophane wrap, and in some cases, the brand story itself. One major American provider markets this service explicitly to, quote, influencers starting your own perfume line. Another advertises, quote, we are the fragrance house behind the brands you love. They are not being subtle. The product they are selling is not perfume. It is a perfume brand. The distinction is everything. Becoming a trained perfumer takes a minimum of 2 years of daily study before a composition is considered marketable. Master perfumers like Dominique Ropion or Alberto Morillas, whose work sits inside some of the most celebrated bottles in history, charge between $50,000 and $150,000 per composition. A single composition. That is what genuine craft costs. The artisan brand charging you $200 per bottle hired none of that. What they hired was a contract lab's pre-existing formula, a packaging designer, and a copywriter. And here is the part that should stop you mid-sentence the next time someone hands you a small batch bottle with a handwritten label. Most contract manufacturers offer what are called ready-to-go formulas. These are pre-tested, pre-approved compositions available for immediate licensing. The critical detail is the word non-exclusive. When a brand licenses a non-exclusive formula from a contract lab, any other brand that calls the same lab can license the exact same juice. The fragrance in your $180 bottle of Obscure Atelier No. 3 may be chemically identical to the fragrance in your friend's bottle from a completely different brand, with a completely different founder story and a completely different childhood memory at the center of it. You will never know. The word parfum on the label is a trade secret classification. It covers every compound inside. No disclosure is required. No disclosure will come. The U.S. fragrance market grew 12% in 2024, reaching $9.5 billion. The niche and artisan segment grew fastest of all. And that growth was driven primarily by something researchers at consumer analytics firms kept noting in their reports. Gen Z and millennial shoppers are buying fragrance based on story, not smell. They are purchasing the narrative of a founder who cared, who searched, who built something real. And they are doing it based on social media content produced by a person who opened a website, filled out a brief, and waited 2 to 5 months for a box to arrive. The economics are extraordinary. A finished bottle costs the brand roughly $3 to $8 to produce at a contract facility. The brand adds a story, a bottle that looks beautiful on a shelf, and an Instagram presence. It retails for $150 to $250. The margin on story, it turns out, is significantly better than the margin on craft. Now, the industry built this system. and the industry is perfectly entitled to use it. Contract manufacturing is not illegal. White label formulas are not illegal. Founder stories are not illegal. What is worth understanding, what changes the calculation when you are standing in front of a small batch bottle about to hand over $200, is the gap between what the story implies and what the process actually is. The story implies a trained nose, a long development process, ingredients sourced with intention, a creative vision translated into a formula through years of accumulated knowledge. The process is a phone call, a mood board, a wire transfer, and a label with your name on it. There are perfumers who did the work, who spent years learning, who can tell you, from memory, what percentage of a given aroma chemical shifts a composition from citrus forward to woody, who reformulated the same accord 40 times before they were satisfied. They exist in the artisan space, and their bottles are usually not the ones with the most followers or the most compelling unboxing videos, because they spent their resources on the juice instead of the story. Brands like Slumber House, like Nishan, like Bogu Profumo were built by people for whom the formula was the point. Finding them requires ignoring the founder story entirely and asking a different question. Has anyone in the fragrance community, anyone who knows what they are smelling, said this is genuinely original? That question cuts through the mythology faster than any ingredient list. The contract lab system does not make bad fragrance. Some of the pre-made formulas are genuinely pleasant. A few are excellent. But excellent and original are not the same thing. And original is not the same thing as artisan. And artisan is not the same thing as what the founder story implies. You are not always buying a lie. You are often buying a very well-packaged truth that has been carefully arranged to look like something else. The fragrance industry will not change its labeling laws. It will not require founders to disclose their manufacturing relationships. It will not ask influencer perfumers to clarify how much of the creative process they actually participated in. The regulatory framework that protects mainstream brands from disclosing their formulas protects the artisan in name-only brands equally. The story will keep selling. The labs will keep producing. And the gap between what the bottle implies and what the bottle contains will remain entirely legal and entirely invisible. Unless you know where to look. And now you do. If you found this useful, hit subscribe. There is a lot more of this industry left to take apart.